What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 5 of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons June 2025 tournament. We got two awesome decks to show you, so let's just get in those lists. First up, we have August with Blue-White Landstill, a true classic of the format and the default Blue-White control list. Landstill is looking to do what every control deck loves: make sure your opponent has no more resources through plenty of counter spells and removal through swords and Wrath of Gods until you can land a big Decree of Justice or potentially win through manlands. With just a cursory glance over the list, I will call out the fact that we do not actually have a sideboard here for August, but looking through the main list, it does seem pretty stock. As is traditional with most standstill lists, there is no creatures, but we are going to start off with the spells with 4 Swords to Plowshares, 4 Impulse, 4 Mana Leak, 4 Standstill, one of the namesakes of the deck, 4 Counterspell, 2 Disenchant, a 1 of Forbid, which I would consider a little bit of spice, 3 Fact or Fiction, 1 Humility, 2 Wrath of Gods, 3 Decree of Justice, 1 Phyrexian Furnace, and 1 Powder Keg. Now the other part of this deck name is land, and the lands that we care about are the 4 Mishra's Factories and 2 Fairy Conclaves. Those manlands are the other way to push damage through that aren't named Decree of Justice. In addition to those lands, we have 4 Darkar Wastes, 4 Flooded Strands, 2 Coastal Towers, 1 Dust Bowl, 4 Plains, and 5 Islands. A really classic list, and I'm excited to see how August plays it, but before we get into those games, let's see who he's playing against. Next up, we have Matt with Mono Blue Stiflenought, and now I really wish August had posted a sideboard list because I could better judge how this match is gonna go. It does look like this is a pretty stock Stiflenought list. Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. Maybe a little bit of spice on the sideboard when we get to it, but if you somehow have not encountered Mono Blue Stiflenought, it is a essentially combo deck looking to land a Phyrexian Dreadnought with either a Stifle or Vision Charm to get around its slight downside and then have lots of counterspell backup. The rest of the deck just has cantrips and draw spells to help you either find counter magic or the combo. There is an edge case as well where you just win with Mishra's Factories, but no one wants to see that. It takes forever. Going through the list, we have 4 Stifles, 4 Vision Charms, 4 Portents, 4 Ops, 2 Chain of Vapors, the only real removal spells in the deck, 4 Impulse, 4 counter spells, 3 Days, 1 Flash of Insight, the 4 Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, very well loved set. I do love to see that. I wonder how many games those guys have smashed in for lethal. 4 Foils and 4 Gushes. He's also running, as for lands, he's running 16 Islands and 2 Mishra's Factories. In the sideboard, we have a singular Cursed Totem, the 3rd Chain of Vapor, 1 Blue Elemental Blast, 3 Hydroblast, 4 Annuls, 1 Misdirection, 1 Brain Freeze, which I think is a fairly recent tech, especially for the mirror, a Powder Keg, and 2 Parallax Tide, which has been pretty stock since LobsterCon last year, transforming the deck into more of a Tide control list than a full-blown combo deck. So yeah, those are our decks. We got 2 very counterspell control-y, heavy, grindy decks, so settle in. This is going to be quite the match. And here we go. August is on the left, Matt is on the right. Get a little roll to start us off, and yeah, those are box cars. And whatever that second dice was for August, it's unfortunately not going to make much of a difference. It is a 6, but unless we're doing low roll, which I don't think we were, Matt will be starting us off. Dreadnought definitely benefiting from being on the play. Dreadnought lists used to run the ability to go turn 1 Dreadnought through either Mox Diamonds or Lotus Petals, but it looks like that's not the case here, and Matt is going to be shuffling up for a better 6 at least, so let's cut to when he has a keepable hand. And here we are with Matt looking for a keepable 6. Dreadnought list does mulligan pretty well. There's something to be said to mulliganing until you have a Dreadnought, which does look like he does have. Unclear if he has any of the payoffs for it, either a Stifle or a Vision Charm, but he is going to be keeping. And leading off with Island Opt? No, Portent. Probably the best 1-mana cantrip in the format. I think that's pretty safe to say. Opt being at instant speed is nice, but you definitely get to look at a few more cards here with Portent. And just going to pass it to August. playing a coastal tower. Say go. Giving Matt the opening here for a turn 2 Dreadnought. And that is exactly what's going to happen. Do we have a Vision Charm? We do. So he will even have the potential to back it up with a counterspell. August with his own counterspell, but a turn too late. Needing to have a real answer for this Dreadnought on Matt's turn, or taking 12. I think I see a Swords ready and waiting, so the real question is, does Matt have an answer? And August letting Matt draw a card here, which is a little dangerous. That is one extra card that Matt can use to find counterspell. The alternative being August taking this 12, being able to play a third land and play Swords with counterspell backup. And that is actually what he's going to do. Very heads up play here is going to Impulse. It's not the first Dreadnought that gets you, it's the second swing. And Matt deciding if he wants to counter this, which I don't think he does. And there's just a second Swords too. That's immediately going into hand for August. Okay, we have 2 Swords. Do you have a second white source? Definitely want to play that out first. Yeah, okay, there's no Dark Art Waste. Swords on the Dreadnought. And I'm not sure if Matt actually does have the backup. He does have a Daze, but that's not doing anything right here. I think he has a Gush too, so he could try and Gush. Gonna float 2 to Gush. There's a Stifle and an Island, either of which are good. Is there 2 Dazes in Matt's hand? Unfortunately, that Dreadnought is getting Swords, but at least Matt got 12 life out of it. Alright, August passing back to Matt, still holding up counterspell too, which is nasty. There's another Impulse. There's a Standstill, which will go to hand. August really needing a man land to make that work. Oh, there's a Mishra's Factory. All right, we are getting all up in here with Landstill. Okay, there's a Standstill. Again, Matt only having 2 days. That will resolve. And there's the foil, too little too late. Matt in a very tough position here. I've always been of the opinion you just break your opponent's Standstill as soon as you can. Interestingly, August not getting in here for 2 with the Mishra's Factory, opting to hold up interaction. But yeah, your opponent is going to draw 3 cards one way or another. It might as well be sooner. I mean, I can kind of understand in the case where you're also running your own counter spells where you want to have interaction for whatever they draw. But they're getting to sculpt their hands and play man lands over the course of while you're doing this. Like, there is really no benefit. Although August playing it very slow here. You guys can tell I'm not much of a control player because I would have already swung in with the Mishra's Factory twice. I would have left the Fairy Conclave up to help with counterspell mana, but there's a lot of life on Matt's side that needs some chipping away with, and we are going to create justice here for 2. All right, that's at least a start. That's a 16 turn clock. I really hope we don't get to that point. All right. Matt discarding the hand size here. Does discard a Flash of Insight. All right, August finally doing what I would do and get aggressive, swinging in for 4. That does speed up the clock twice as fast. There you go. Interesting. Matt impulsing here. Stifling the standstill trigger that will get countered. Standstill resolves. Funnily enough, if you stifle the standstill trigger, the standstill still triggers. So August did not need, unless I'm getting this totally wrong, which I don't think I am. August did not need to counter the stifle because in fact that then triggered standstill for Matt. So I don't know if Matt was trying to bait it out and forgot, or they both don't know how this interaction works, but Matt actually should have drawn 3 cards there. Standstill triggers for both players and cares about the last spell played. There's no way to actually remove the standstill trigger. Like there's no cycling ability that stifles or anything like that. Alright, there's an opt. Matt looking for that Dreadnought. Does have one in hand. He's gonna opt again. We know he has a foil. He's got a couple days. There's a Vision Charm. I think we might see a Dreadnought on his next turn. There's also a Stifle. Stifle with Vision Charm, double days, foil backup. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think you lead with the Stifle. Have the Vision Charm in case there's a Swords. And then you have at least a days and a foil. Really 2 days, I think. Alright, Dreadnought. Does that get mana leaked? No. You always mana leak the Enabler. There's a Stifle. Or, sorry, not a Stifle. There's a, a mana leak. Alright, we're gonna draw out the stack here. There's a days. Days will get paid for. August still has 3 blue open. Alright, days will resolve. Everything will resolve in response. Vision Charm. The Dreadnought. Looks like that's the play. There's a Swords. No, it is actually going to phase out. It will resolve. Okay. August opting to wait a turn to get resources and lands untapped. Ooh, there's a Disenchant. That's a very good draw. I don't think Matt can fight through all of that. And in fact, August feeling very confident, animating all of his man lands, getting in for 6. Finally getting Matt below 20. Say go. Dreadnought phases back in. There's a Disenchant. Oh, Matt does have a Gush here. He could potentially save it, but there's a straight counter spell. And then there's a Swords. There's a days. Pay for the days. There's a foil. Pitching the island and Gush. And Matt actually does take it down. We're going to go to game 2. August, I think, getting maybe a little too greedy there with the manland swinging in. Not able to react to the day's foil. Unfortunate for sure. Alright, looks like August not liking his 6. Got a mulligan here, and we'll cut to when he has a better hand. All right, August looking for 6 here. Standstill, double decree lands. Looks like that is a quick keep. The coastal tower and pass. Island, important here from Matt. Does have the Dreadnought in hand. Unclear if he has Enabler, but likes the cards in his hand and on top. Alright, there's a Standstill, which will resolve. Okay. No days here from Matt. At least not one that he wishes to fire off. Granted, Matt breaking the Standstill here with a Dreadnought phased out would not be the worst thing for him. It is 3 cards that a control deck gets. Like, it's not nothing. He was able to fight through it the first time. Although, if you were watching that bit, the Standstill stack should have actually worked in his favor as well. I'm like 99% sure that's the way that works. You can't stifle Standstill. Like 99% sure. That does mean, though, that August did have a counterspell as well. Alright, he is going to get the Standstill trigger. Mana Leak, a Darkheart Waste, and a Meddling Mage. Alright, so we do get to see a little bit of sideboard attack here. Meddling Mage coming in. Alright, there's a blue to stifle the Dreadnought. We know August has a Swords, which will get used and will work. No counterspell backup here for Matt. Once again, gaining 12. And there's a Meddling Mage. Probably naming Dreadnought. Looks like we do have the little bits of paper here, so Matt gonna write out what the Meddling Mage is naming. And I actually cannot read that. I'm assuming it's naming Dreadnought. Alright, there's a Portent. Does that spell dread? I think it might spell dread. Alright. Yeah. There's no reason for it to name anything else. Maybe the second Meddling Mage names, I don't know, Parallax Tide. Maybe. Alright, Island Go here from Matt. Drawing off the Portent. There's a Flooded Strand for August. Gonna get in for 2. This Melee Mage is a real clock. The only way that could have been better is August had landed another Standstill. Alright, there's another Portent. Matt's only answer to this Dreadnought, or to this Melee Mage, sorry, is his Chain of Vapors, and if he brought in the explosives. Powder Keg. Those are really the only 2 answers, I think, in the entire deck for removing problematic creatures. And Meddling Mage is one of the more problematic creatures for Dreadnought. Now, Matt does have some factories that can help with this, but there's a Decree of Justice for 1. Maybe a bit ambitious. I'm not sure why he got a Plains, let alone put it on the battlefield. This is an Exalted Dragon. Even if it did, that's not what it does. I am very confused. Maybe Both players playing a little too fast, maybe a little nervous. That was odd. Alright, well, either way, August has a plains and a 1/1 and animates his factory. Alright, there's a gush, which will get mana leaked. You do... Yeah. Alright. This game is an interesting one for sure. I guess he hardcast the gush, so he didn't have to pay the 2 islands returning as part of the cost. But August fully in control of this match. To be honest, I'm not sure how he loses it. If Matt brought in the tides, that might be the only way. But we see August has a disenchant, has another decree. Alright, there's an impulse. That will resolve. Matt is at 19. It doesn't look that bad for him, but really, I think it is that bad. He needs a chain. And he needs August to not have a counterspell. He can fight through this. It's going to be a lot, though, is the thing. Alright, taking a Vision Charm here. I will say, in August defense, we are in round 5. We do play at a brewery. It's entirely possible. Was not really paying attention. Okay, does remember what Decree does this time. Okay. There's a Standstill as well. Do you just play that? I feel like you just play that. But first, let's get in for 9. Matt down to 10. There's a Standstill. Is that enough for the concession? No, there's a counterspell. Do you want to fight over this? I don't think so. No, that Standstill will not resolve. Say go. Yeah, double mana leak here for Matt, which is just enough. But I don't think, or sorry, for August, but I don't think Matt has the cards in hand to fight through this. I think we're just going to a game 3. Oh, does he actually have the chain? He does have the chain. All right, there's a factory. Gonna say go. There's another meddling mage. Mage on chain would be brutal. Alright, here's a meddling mage. August does have the counterspell backup. There's a counterspell from Matt. August not gonna fight. Is gonna animate the factory though. Swing in with both. There's a factory to trade. Yes, they will trade. Take 5, go to 5. And Matt need to do something this turn. Oh, he was going to try and chain here. That will get countered. And we're going to go to game number 3. And here we are in game number 3. A very strange game 2. I don't actually think the decree for the planes really altered the game all that much. Just something to keep in mind, August, for next time. It's not an Exalted Dragon when you want it to be. And even then, Exalted Dragon doesn't work that way. Either way, though, here we are in game number 3. I do wonder if Matt maybe opted for more of the Tide plan, but it looks like both players do not like their 7s. So we're going to cut to when they have keepable hands. All right, both players looking for 6 here. Can we find it? Not a great 6 for August. Not the worst. Looks like Matt does like it. Alright, both players keeping. And as Matt has been doing all game, leading off with an island portent. Looks like that one is also stamped from our monthly. Alright, does not like the cards on top is going to shuffle. In the meantime, August going to just play out a Fairy Conclave and pass. Go to Matt. There's a counter spell. Does have a Dreadnought in hand. Has been very good about drawing at least a one of Dreadnought. And is going to pass here. Opting to play it a little slower. Maybe not having the turn 1. Or sorry, turn 2 with backup. Alright, there's a Flooded Strand. August passing, but in response, back on Impulse. And a fetch from August, looking for probably a Plains, yeah. The Impulse will resolve. I think August just worried about a Stifle, potentially. That is fair. Alright, Matt liking the card from Impulse. And then, yep, take a point. Not super relevant in the Dreadnought matchup, but you never know. And on to Matt's turn. Alright, Island. We know he has a Vision Charm. He has the Knot. Does he have Counterspell backup? He has actual factual Counterspell, but he needs one more Island for that to be super relevant. And is just going to pass it back. Choosing to play this a little slower. And then an Impulse on August's side. There's a Meddling Mage. Immediately gets put into hand. Untap, draw. There's an Annul as well. That's a very good backup to have. But first, Meddling Mage. This will, yep, get counterspelled. That's fine. Oh. Mana Leak on top. Matt might have seen that. I don't think August did. So, maybe a little indicator for Matt to hurry up and go. Although the Annul in August's hand, definitely relevant. It is a bit interesting that the Standstill or Landstill decks don't play any free counterspells, like at all. I do wonder if maybe there's some benefit to some foil and gushes going on. I know it kind of goes against the face of card advantage because you're not comboing out for a specific win, but the power of a free counterspell is hard to ignore, even if it's not quite a force of will. Alright, there's a Dreadnought. There's an Annul. Is there a Daze backup here? There's a Gush. Floating a blue. Alright, there's a foil. Pitching an Opt in an Island. Dreadnought resolves. With Vision Charm backup. Oh no, sorry, actually spending the Vision Charm. Sorry, this was all just on the cast. The Dreadnought. Alright, Dreadnought is phased out. Notably, August does not have a Disenchant or a Swords. Dreadnought is phasing back in. Swing for 12. Down to 6. Say go. There's a Fact or Fiction. Counterspell here might be... Nope, alright. We got a Counterspell, a Factory, a Decree of Justice, a Standstill, and an Island. None of those help. So August needing a top deck here to win. Not even to win, just to stay alive. I'm not sure if Matt has counter magic in hand, but the pile here is going to be very interesting. I don't even know what you put in this pile. I would definitely put Standstill and Decree of Justice in their own separate piles. The Mishra's Factory, I would not put in the Standstill pile. Giving him 2 Mishra's Factories with Standstill seems like a bad idea. I would maybe go Factory, Decree, and Standstill, Island, Counterspell. Let me know below if you would do something different and the reasons why. Fact or fiction piles are always so polarizing and so weird. Without knowing exactly what's in Matt's hand, it is a little bit tricky. But I think that's the way, because Counterspell and Standstill work at odds with each other. Decree of Justice and Standstill work way too well together. Same with Mishra's Factory, so you can't give him stuff that works with Standstill. And Matt going very deep in the tank here. This is a decision point that may make the game, but we know unless August draws a relevant removal spell, does not actually matter. And this is an interesting pile. I think you take the Counterspell here just on the off chance you draw the removal. You need more backup to protect your removal spell, and that's exactly what August is going to do. Control players hate taking the pile with fewer cards. Does this matter? I don't think it does. I think he's going to impulse. He's going to be digging a bit more. Needing a disenchant, needing a swords. There's a swords. Does not have counter magic backup though, but can't put that swords in hand fast enough. Cast the swords. Does he have mana leak as well? I don't think he does. He has counterspell. Yeah, so that counterspell not live. Yeah, you have to cast the swords here. Oh, there's a vision charm, and that is gonna be enough. Pretty sure Matt just takes it down. I don't think there's an answer here. Forbid and counterspell, not good enough. I think August just making sure, and nope, that is going to be game. Matt takes it down in 3. Those were some actually great games. If you guys made it this far, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel yet if you haven't already. We do pre-modern content 2 days a week, old school content 1 day a week, although I am running out of old school content, so we may be bumping it up to 3 days of pre-modern a week. How does that sound? If you're a fan of the old school content, don't worry though. The next time I'm at an old school event, I'll be there with camera in hand. If you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while and want to support what I'm doing financially, there is a Patreon. You may notice the wonderful patrons names that have been on screen currently. There is a link in the video description as well as displayed on screen. Money from the Patreon goes to travel expenses like going to Seattle tournaments, going to Vegas, which I'm actually going to be at the beginning of next year. Should be a ton of fun. We were there last year, as well as gear upgrades, including gear that can fit on an airplane, and just helping me make more videos in general. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.